Hello, hello, and welcome to another revolutionary conversation. Today I'm joined by my soul sister, mentor, and friend, Janel Willette. Welcome, Janelle.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to this beautiful conversation that is so relevant and real for so many of us.
Yeah, today we're going to dive into an experience that I'm actually currently having, which is what makes it so rich and ripe and maybe relatable to you who's listening and watching. As I prepare to leave next week, as we're recording this, for 5 weeks in India and then a week to visit with Janelle, there's a huge trepidation that comes up. I've never been to India before, traveling alone, haven't traveled alone in a very long time. And being away from my family for that long is extreme. Never have I been away for that long. And so this fear comes up in me, is terrified and excited, right? Because there's something so magical and so ripe and rich to being able to be in another country, being in a different culture, being in a completely different energy that geographical medicine is unlike any other in the world. No matter where you go, it's different everywhere. And so there's all sorts of excitement, but there's also all sorts of fear. And that leaning into trusting and finding my truth in all of this and knowing that I'm not alone and that I have an anchor, of Janelle, I have an anchor with my family, I have an anchor with friends. I'm not alone, and in some ways I am alone, and that finding that truth within myself that helps me to anchor and keep myself centered. That's the powerful importance. And I don't know what it's going to be like. I don't know what that's going to look like. And almost doing this homework is proactive work in advance to go, I got to get clear on this for myself before I step into that reality where I know it's going to be like a storm, and I gotta want to find that like anchor rope to hold on to as I feel like I'm being battered by the winds and the waves.
The winds and waves of what, Jules?
The winds and waves of my own thoughts and expectations, and the things that I haven't let myself let go of, that I know that I want to let go of, that I need to let go of, old expectations of who I thought I was or what I'm supposed to do, and let that be blown away. Uh, but I recognize my own attachment to it and wanting to keep it safe. I described it to somebody the other day, like a tree that is ready to come apart. It's dead, and its branches are falling off. And instead of just letting it do that, there's a part of me that's trying to like duct tape the branches back on to the tree. When there's no point. Sacred life is just moving through it. It wants to die so that something more can be reborn. But sometimes we hold on so tight to that thing that we don't want to lose, that we forget that there's actually something coming right up behind it if we only just surrendered and gave up so that we could give into our own self again.
Meeting the fear. The great jewel is meeting the fear and recognizing when it arrives. That's the one key. Because we can spin out or we can want to duct tape that branch back because we haven't met the fear that is going to transcend us and give us that promotion to the next level of who we truly are. I like to say it's like our baby teeth. you know, Kids are excited to lose their teeth, right? So, in that same way, the baby teeth come in and they're meant to be temporary, just like our ego, our persona, our self created identity that we begin to recognize is obsolete or isn't working well. And to say, whoa, actually, this was created out of this situation, circumstance, in this chapter of my life, and to recognize, you know what, it is obsolete. But only when we lose the baby tooth comes the impetus for the next tooth to come. The next tooth will not usually come until that tooth is lost. And if we don't lose or we hold on to the obsolete, then there becomes this problem where the new life that wants to live us cannot come through. And that creates pain, that creates inconsistencies with our own inner self. And so the key here that we really want to bring to the forefront is meeting ourselves in truth, meeting ourselves in that place where we can become the witnessing awareness of what's really going on here. I'm really afraid. Oh, it's India, it's this. And then the next, what's really going on here? And then the next level, what's really going on here? And then just meeting the fear, meeting the trepidation from witnessing what's really happening here. And that allows us to tell ourselves the truth and letting that be okay. And then there can be a calmness and an equilibrium in the self. Wow, there's all this turbulence in the persona, in the ego, in the identity and the identification that we have with that identity. It's meant to be temporary, and we lose sight of that. We think that's who we are. And the moment we think that's who we are, and that's what's really true and truly real, that's when we get these breakdowns or breakthroughs that want to come through. Because we're trying to keep permanent what's meant to be temporary.
Trying to keep permanent what's meant to be temporary. Yeah, there's so much potency to that. Because I notice myself with my own fears. And I have a tendency when I have a fear, when I experience a fear, a thought like, what if something happens to me while I'm in India? Nobody else is there, right? One of those big thoughts that comes up. And I have a tendency to go, oh, that's a silly thought, Jules, or oh, don't worry about that, versus actually sitting with it and going, oh, okay, like that's a big fear, right? That fear's here to show me something. I'm going to sit with it. It's really uncomfortable. And I think that's where, when I look back in my reality, I've tempered my experience so as not to be uncomfortable, right? For myself and also for others. Realizing this more and more in these past year or so. And that tendency to want to make things comfortable or to avoid conflict or to make people happy has been at the root of actually not looking at the fear, just covering it up with something or dismissing it, never giving it validation. And therefore, as we know, what we resist persists. So it just keeps coming back in whatever way it can be, because it just wants to be acknowledged. It just wants to be noticed and seen and witnessed and loved and move on, right? Energy and motion, the emotion, it just wants to move. And meanwhile, I'm holding and I'm keeping that which is temporary in a permanent role that it just can't, it can't sustain. It's not meant to.
Right. And so what do we do with that truth of it's not meant to stay? It's not designed to. So the key is to establish an inner relationship with that which is. So if you have a relationship with a part of yourself that is steady and stable and unchanging in the midst of the ever changing, maybe you have a relationship with source, with God, with creation, whatever that is. What is that is unchanging in the midst of the ever changing? Because change is always going to keep changing. And I have realized for my own self in my journey that when I created a relationship inside my own self with that source, that then became a relationship with self and source, that I realized I could come from a place of that unchangingness in the midst of all of the turbulence, all of the fear, all of the uncertainty that constantly arrives in my life and in my mind. A lot of times things arrive in our mind that don't really arrive in life. And so the mind, thinks that they're true. And if we don't have a relationship with something that's steady and sturdy and stealthy inside, we can get spun out by these thoughts or by people's reactions or by the uncertainty of life around and in, whether it's in politics or whether it's in your own finances or whether it's in your future or it's in your relationship with other people. The key is to find that place inside yourself and with your source that is unchanging in the midst of the ever changing, because that's the divine design of life. And that's the one secret that will help you to manage the inevitable ever changing.
And that feels potent when it comes to life in general, is that change is inevitable, right? There's no way around it. It's going to keep going. It's constant, right? That statement, the only thing in life that's constant is change, right? It's the only thing you can count on in that way. It's constantly growing and evolving and living and dying and going through its life cycles. It's one thing that we know to be true in every single aspect of our being is these cycles of life and death. And, it's funny because I laugh at my own ego for going, but, I could stop that though. Like, if I choose to, it's my free will. In the past, this has been a thought as I think about it right now. It's like, but if I don't want to, that doesn't have to change. I can just hold on to that, right? Or this is really good. I want to just keep this thing that's really good. And meanwhile, it's not possible. We can't just hold on to anything. It's always changing. But when, like you said, Janelle, when you can find that space that is the infinite, that is the eternal, it just is.
Truly true and really real. It's not etheric, it's not nebulous, it's not a thought, it's not out there. It's what's more true and real, any thought or any version or variation of your own self. It's the core of existence. It's the core of your existence. It's the core of existence of life. Because think about it, life never ceases to live. Life was living and moving, and in the dynamism of life was going before you came to life, and life's going to keep living its life when you, the human, leave. So when we have relationship with that which is ever changing in the midst of the unchanging, we can feel a relationship with change in a different way, where we can find ourselves not trying to contrive to have certain things happen a certain way, and necessity for things to go my way or be a certain structure or organize things a certain way in order to be secure and safe and comfortable. We can find that we don't need to manipulate our own lives or other people or situations, because we're one and have a relationship with what is the flow of life itself. It's like for us to be in relationship with that which is greater than ourselves is to be one with and in relationship with the inevitability of the flow of life. And that's when we become a true contribution to the evolution of that flow of life.
And as you were saying that, Janelle, it brought that up in my imagination. My kid thought was, if I could be best friends with the core of existence, that would be the best friendship ever as far as relationships go, because nothing wavers from there. It just is. And there's a stability and a sturdiness and a inevitable, unwavering certainty that comes from that relationship that doesn't come from any other relationship.
Right. And you can say it's imagination, but I would like to invite everyone to have a relationship with something that you make it real. So your mind can be still and know and feel the validation of that. And for a lot of people, they find it in nature. Some people find it in going to the ocean. Some people like to watch the sunrise or the sunset, because in that way, or even, sit amidst the night sky and feel your relationship with the grandness and the order that you feel when you're under the sky and the ocean is there, or in the forest, and you just feel this order. And I call it divine order of consciousness. It's like, can you be in relationship with that? Because then you're in the midst of being held with that benevolence of life, that benevolence of the intelligence, of the inevitability of really your destiny, so that you are surely evolving and moving into an evolutionary way of growing and learning and becoming the essence. Because the essence of who we are is that existence that changes, evolves, and grows. And chronology has us, depreciating in life and growing and learning. But when we're not moved by that changing and trying to manage it, we're in flow with. And then we have this equilibrium, and even our circadian rhythms in both the subtle world and our own body can be much more in harmony with that unchanging. You feel it. It's like, oh, that's what's really true and truly real. And when your mind is in service to your heart, when your mind is in service to your essence, it's much easier to slow down the mind and just let the mind's rattling stories be like rainwater on the roof. Just notice they're always going to be there. Don't stop the rain, just notice it, but come back. That your mind recognizes something that's really true and truly real.
And with that, as we end this revolutionary conversation, that reminder of the mind and when it comes in, and when it's telling you something really loudly that creates fear, especially the ones that create fear, those thoughts that just help that fear blossom, and that it doesn't need to become something that takes over. It doesn't need to become like a weed in the garden that you just keep letting proliferate, but truly being present with it and seeing it and just letting it show you what it wants to show you, so that it could be like a dandelion that you just blow it afterwards and make a wish and let it all flow, right? That it just wanted to be acknowledged and seen and loved and witnessed, and to be able to go on its nature's way. And that's been one of my biggest lessons. And I will continue to bring it into play because more fears keep coming up.
There's not a deadline, and there's also not a finish line. There's not a deadline, and there's not a finish line. It's the journey. So we wake up and we're a student of life. We're a steward of life every day. And if you look out into the world and you see your relationship with life and people and your own thoughts and your own inner reality, they're either based in fear or love. So when you are true to your own self about, wow, I'm really feeling unsteady about this talk I need to give, or this conversation I need to have, or something you need to get done that seems to have a deadline. The best thing you can do is tell yourself the truth and see the fear. And even if it's a couple minutes before you start your day, while you're recognizing the fear, you become the witness of it. And then it doesn't have a hold on you. And it's like a coin. On the other side of fear is love. So when you are with fear, you are at the helm of your life, and recognize that when I'm with this fear and I recognize it and I hold it from that place inside myself, I can bring the antidote of love to it and meet it, because everything is a gift. And if we let everything serve our own evolutionary growth and evolution, it can be resolved. And then in that alchemy, that becomes a golden jewel of our essence. But it's how we meet life. And whatever you're grappling with, meet it and go, is this based in fear or love? It's one or the other. So it's not about it being bad, but just see it through full circle. And just know that there are no deadlines and no timelines. And that'll just allow more space inside yourself to just take the pressure off. And then you won't betray yourself or feel like you're either good or bad, you're a failure or a success at it, right? Life is a journey. And just do your best every day.
It's a perfect place to end this beautiful revolutionary conversation with the revolution full circle.
And that is how exactly we become the revolution here inside our own selves. Because how you meet what's going on inside of you is going to be the greatest asset to humanity, your loved ones, your relationships, the cohorts that you're a part of, the organizations you're a part of, is be the impetus of your own inner revolution.
It impacts everything and it changes everything. Yeah. Thank you so much, Janelle.
What a joy to connect again.
Mm-hmm. And thank you everyone for listening and watching. Just so that you know, in case this is your first revolutionary conversation, we are on Spotify and YouTube. Check us out. All the other revolutionary conversations, they all have their own gold. And also, if this really speaks to you and you want to be a part of a live conversation with all of us, there's a Golden Genius Mastermind that happens every second Wednesday. And we'd love to have you out. It's a whole different feel. It is powerful to be able to co-create and weave that genius magic within a group, within a community of people who are really there.
Global community. It's a global community that fosters the revolution individually and collectively.
Beautifully said. And so please join us, reach out. If there's any comments you'd like to share with us, we are open to all of your feedback and even future topics. So please feel free to reach out to us at goldengeniusmastermind@gmail.com. Otherwise, join us for the next revolutionary conversation. Thank you so much.